Our next panelist is Ģirts Bērziņš. Ģirts, hello. You're head of digital innovation and strategy at Swedbank, right?
Yes.
All right. So what do you do usually when you go to work?
Make fun.
All right. Of whom? Or have fun?
Starting from myself.
All right, that's good. Ģirts, you're going to be talking to us about the difference. I cannot really deduct what is the sort of content of your presentation because the title is that the difference is made together. But
Yes.
but I assume it will feed into the whole conversation about business innovation, and we're very much looking forward to your address. So the rules are the same as they were to the previous speakers. More or less 20 minutes of your presentation, and then hopefully Q&A. And Slido is open for your questions. Though to those who are following us, send in the questions. I'll address them to the speaker. All right? Yes.
So yeah, let's kick it off. Thank you. And yeah, I was asked to speak about innovations, and I think word innovation is quite abused word, and some think it is like just imitating, doing something that innovation, it's sometimes inventing something, but in my books innovation is making a difference. And so I will start to share my experience how difference can be made and how it evolves actually over the years. So and if we speak about banking in Latvia and maybe a bit about Swedbank in Latvia, then obviously difference was made 33 years ago, and this was internet bank, and this was at that time Hansanet. Today we call it Swedbank Internet Bank, but definitely this was a pretty big milestone between old world, when we used to go to some organization, and when organization comes to you. And first it started in banking, but then it went everywhere. And today I think we can't imagine, especially in COVID times, that we should go somewhere. So this was a major innovation. It happened 33 years ago. However, I have to confess that this was not first major innovation for history of Swedbank. First innovation happened actually on 28th of October 1820. So almost 200 years ago, or soon 200 years ago. And it was connected with this small girl. We know exactly the name of the girl. So girl was Carolina Bernardina Hammerdal, and she stood on this particular day outside the building on Västra Hamngaten 15 in Göteborg. And she waited with her brother and father when new business is open, or when new opportunity is offered to the society then on Sweden. So she was the first person who used savings account in Sweden. Savings account introduced by actually German merchant Eduard Ludendorff, who borrowed idea of this savings account from Scotland. And basically, interestingly enough, it was not his idea to borrow idea from Scotland. That idea was discussed for a couple of years between noblemen in Sweden, but this particular man just made this idea happen. So on 28th of October 1820, savings bank concept started in Sweden and later in Nordic region. However, we can say that, yeah, or Carolina Bernardina of 20th century would say, or 21st century now would say that, yeah, you know, but over the years, dear Swedbank, as much as I love you, you have become a bit different. Yeah, maybe you have become a bit more solid, but obviously you have become slower and maybe more cautious. And then I or my colleagues would argue, yeah, but you know, Carolina Bernardina, we are using very modern tools. We are using agile, we are using design thinking, and this makes us some speed. And by the way, we are behind the digital transformation of whole society, and so also we could be maybe characterized by some big elephant, but we are definitely very digital elephant, maybe digifant or whatever how you can call us. So we are obviously very modern. So it's not what you are thinking. But what I can say from my experience is that I think we are both right. This girl who expects that innovations have to come in very fast pace, have to be very bold, and us who say that you know that if these innovations scale up, organizations become bigger, more and more society is using the services, and then we have to be much more cautious not to jeopardize basic service itself. So what we can conclude that innovations have very different characteristics and or dimensions, and if you look at each of them, answers will make you standing in different horizons. So we need to change probably the background, and background meaning that depending on answers what you are giving to those questions will define which horizon of boldness, which horizon of innovation you are taking. So are you flying very high above the sky or above the ground? And obviously Swedbank of 1820 in Sweden or 90s in Baltics was flying very high above the sky. We challenged the status quo. We proposed very daring ideas to customers, and thanks to customers those ideas were scaling, and they obviously secured that we made even more difference to society. But as more difference you are making, more the criticality of the service grows. So at some point you have to make more and more cautious decisions. So you are moving closer to the ground, and one can say that you are not innovating anymore. But again, we are saying that innovation is not always invention, and we are still innovative, but we are obviously very different innovative, and as closer you move to the ground, this difference is more striking. So but a bit better to understand what I was saying now, I would like to visit all those three horizons, and let's start really with this very high horizon, this very high in the sky with let's say very simple very pink elephant. And why very pink? Because yes, you have to stand out of other elephants, because those who are flying above the ground very high, that's actually nowadays a pretty big number of those. So you have to be very different, and definitely you have to be very different from those who are flying very close to the ground. So you are enjoying moment of being different, and you are as well actually enjoying moments that your only task on this horizon is to scale. You need to scale this innovation to more and more customers, or if you are not scaling, you are basically not allowed to fly. You are as well not having at that moment, you are not having a task to deliver, how we say, a bottom line. You are not expected yet to deliver returns on finances. Your task is to grow. So you can be this very generous, very kind of appreciated company which gives services for free because you have still to grow. It is expected by your shareholders and your stakeholders. However, paradox is that when you scale, you are not anymore allowed to fly again. So you are kicked off of this, let's say, paradise, as it is closer to the heaven. So, and as well, what was very revolutionary yesterday, tomorrow is whether it's hygiene service or it's dead end of the services. So those who are flying on Horizon 3, they have very, very limited window of opportunity to be there. But obviously this is very rewarding time. So you have to scale, and you have to scale or die, or when you scale, you are as well pushed out of those heavens. Sometimes we see on Horizon 3 some look like pink elephants, but which are not so simple ones, because they are I would say, repainted ordinary elephants. They look like very pink, but they are pink out of two reasons. One is that they would look like this Horizon 3 elephants, so not exactly genuine Horizon 3 elephants. And second reason is that actually they are coming from Horizon 2. And what is happening on Horizon 2? When you are graduating from the heaven and entering this Horizon 2, you are entering very bloody ocean. So it's not blue ocean swimming, it's swimming in ocean where elephants who are already there are usually more mature, they have more experience, so they don't welcome newcomers from Horizon 3, and some of them are, I would say, even sharks, so they try to bite you. So if you do not find, or if you do not protect your distinctiveness, you will definitely lose some blood. So your task on this horizon is still to stand out of the crowd. However, on this horizon, those financial people are not so relaxed anymore. So you need to deliver two things at the same time. So you still need to grow, but at the same time you need to deliver profits, and you are expected on this horizon to fly on or swim on your own. So now you need to earn enough money to be still distinctive, to still be competitive. If not, then unfortunately sharks will eat you. So what happens if you are outsmarting the rest who is swimming on this horizon? Yes, then you are welcome to the Horizon 1. So you are very close to the ground, and sometimes maybe you look like mammoth or some other close to extinction animal, but this is horizon which is reached by very few companies, companies which we say are pillars of respective industry, which are pillars for society, and which are pillars as well for other competitors. So those are relying quite often on backbones of those standard setters. So beauty to be on this Horizon 1 is that yes, you are basically the setter of the rules of particular industry. So you have this not so much trend setter, but you are this who is a pillar of this industry. How about competition? This is actually a very interesting aspect that usually we say that those who are founders or foundation of some industry, there is place for more than 2 players, but usually less than for 3 players. So and you can see it from for example, smartphones or smartphone platforms. There are 2 platforms, it's iOS and Google. There were attempts to introduce a 3rd platform, but somehow it ended up in 2 again. So we can say that maybe things are moving on this horizon not so fast, obviously, as on Horizon 3. These are not so much exponential things. But danger to be on this Horizon 1 is actually to fall into some status quo, and then you are missing some disruptive movement of technology. In industries we call it Kodak moment, that you are enjoying this moment when everybody is relying on your high quality films and cameras, but then disruptive technology came in, and sometimes, as in Kodak example, it was even invented by Kodak itself. So sometimes you invent thing what actually makes you pushes away. So how to survive on this horizon? It's actually rather simple. So you should not be alone. And in nowadays world, you can enjoy thing what is called technology modularization. But what is really important is understand what are those rules when you are on each of those horizons, and actually you have to be genuine. If you want to be flying high above the sky, then you need to be really distinctive. Not even different, you need to be distinctive. If you are closer to the ground on Horizon 1, then your services have to be super resilient. So because majority of society is depending on them. But so far I was speaking about like those horizons are very isolated. So nowadays what we see is that actually being elephant on one of those horizons is it does not mean that you have to be alone. And actually most successful elephants of different horizons are partnering up with elephants from other horizons. So big tech companies, they are super keen to work with Horizon 2 and especially on Horizon 3 companies, and vice versa. If you are on Horizon 3, you have this unique idea. Why not to look for somebody who is bigger than you but is lacking this particular innovation, and then you can scale together. And I think that this is really the key in nowadays world, that you must recognize on what horizon you are, but you have to strive to work together. And we have this example of this monument which we can find in Riga, that animals from different horizons together are making a difference. And yeah, so I think the recipe to be successful with innovations is really to make those things together. Together we make a difference.
All right. Ģirts, thank you very much for this. We've got a couple of minutes for questions. On which horizon do you think Swedbank is? It's the third, or it's
How do
the
you think?
the first, I think I would say.
Yes, on some services we are definitely on Horizon 1, and we feel that let's say half of daily economy of Latvia runs through our digital solutions.
So that was my question. So you also talked about the necessity and to partner up with
Exactly.
companies on different horizons, right? So in your experience, can you share us some good examples of when it works out, when it doesn't work out, and so on the basis of specific examples as much as possible?
Yes, I think first of all this recognition that companies who are on Horizon 1 must open up is actually quite an innovation.
Oh, it's an innovation itself.
It's innovation itself, because just a few years ago it was quite a fierce fight, let's say fintechs versus banks. Yeah? And now I think both sides understood that basically we will win if we team up, and it's actually now the whole concept of what we call competition is challenged, and now we try to call this thing as co-opetition, when you are winning even when your competitor is winning. And such an example for is like Smart ID, what Swedbank did together with SEB, and then later all other banks joined. So some years ago we would probably try to create it on ourselves and then build high walls around. But recently we understood that we would benefit if it becomes as a standard, and not only we will benefit, but any player in the market would benefit that these Horizon 1 companies create some market standard and you can build services on top. So this is this modern thinking of actually of capitalism 2.0, of how to call it, that we are moving from thinking that the purpose of the company is to create service and then via commissions or so extract value from customers. This is this old concept of entrepreneurship. New concept is that you look how you create value, and how you create value together with customers, maybe even your competitors, and then you are sharing. You are sharing what you are gaining as a new value, and probably outcome technically could be the same, financial outcome, but feeling is obviously very, very different. So, and a particular example is that a few years ago, actually 2 years ago, we found a very interesting startup, at that time in Sweden, who is helping customers who had a mission to help customers to recognize recurring payments. So we had some Amazon service before us speaking, and this is a very particular thing of nowadays, that people are subscribing to more and more and services, and suddenly you feel that your money is going away, and then you don't have a control. So what was aim of this particular fintech? They help to very easily spot in your bank account, what are those recurring payments, and they added button cancel.
Sure.
And obviously, as a bank, we could think that yes, we could introduce this service as well, but obviously in our priority lines, it could probably be within a couple of years. But for this particular small company, this was priority number one. But they lacked the scale. They needed those customers. So we did a partnership. And this partnership is so successful that today this company has investors like Visa International, this card scheme. And we, as a bank, we were pushing this company to other banks. And this company is now working, we were first customer of them, or our customers were first customers of them. Now this company operates in 3 or 4 more countries and is scaling exponentially.
I'm sorry, what do you gain out of promoting their services to others? Is it just let's do this? This is a good thing, or a good product, or there's some financial interest in as well?
Yeah, we have indirect financial interest because we became investors of this company.
Okay.
So we understood that we need to give them more money to scale before we finalize integration. But we were not charging something additionally. However, what we are gaining is definitely our customer, let's say, loyalty, because this is a service what they are getting from us. So we have one more argument why customers should choose us as a home bank, and this is nowadays super important.
Probably everyone should gain, right? Have out of to promote these kinds of products. One additional question, though. An interesting thought: how innovation happens and how it works throughout industry, and how it comes up with incentives for sort of competitors also to cooperate, right? But I'm wondering in the sort of mechanism of how to promote these kinds of things. So you mentioned that you looked up a startup.
Yeah.
Right? So this is one way of how it could work, but maybe there are other ways of how maybe startups themselves should change their approach and maybe market or pitch their ideas to an industry as a whole, maybe not to separate institutions or separate businesses. Maybe there's some suggestions in this whole regard on how it could work better, how to enhance this.
It's absolutely happening now, and I could say that this situation has changed quite dramatically during last couple of years. Now there are really many vehicles like acceleration programs, what we actually as well are hosting as Swedbank. But by the way, we spotted this particular company in fintech accelerator of our competitor. So we were a bit more eager than our competitor to grab this idea what this competitor helped to grow. So I think the main receipt is that if you have this bold idea, if you are on this Horizon 3, you must understand your task number 1 is to grow, is to scale, because your window of opportunity nowadays is very short, because things are developing exponentially. So you have this great idea, you have to look for those who are obviously bigger than you and scale together. Don't lock in.
All right. It's fascinating conversation. I think our listeners, who are I suppose mostly students with a business sort of feel and interest, I think they did gain a lot from this. Basically, increase their. We gave them food for thought, I think, in many respects. So that's the whole point of this.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for joining us.